being in school means doing well in school. And for me, that just kind of seems like axiomatic, you know? Like I get there's different ways to gauge student achievement, but going to school and showing up, I don't know, it's just old fashioned. My mother would always be like, Andrew, it's your job, go to school. We go to our jobs, we don't like our jobs every day, you go to school, you know? And if we're talking about readiness for employment in college, it's your job. You get up, you get dressed, you go to school. So I do think it's very important that children go to school. And when we muddy the waters and say it's not important, you know, or there's other ways to measure it, while I agree with that, I would also say it's unacceptable to have chronic absenteeism that high. We really should be striving for every student, like when you accept a job, to go there every day. So just wanted to argue the other side.
A big part of this conversation has to be educating families, educating parents, because not everyone had that same experience as you just explained with your family. You know, there's families going through a lot of different hardships, and if you're prioritizing the different hardships are going, you know, I know many of us in this room can't imagine that, but education is not one of the priorities, right? And those sometimes are the students that have chronic absenteeism due to that, right? So trying to educate families is a really big part of this work. It's the hardest part too, because people are set in their ways. And I know this was an initiative that we really did in my past district. And it was a slow process getting people to understand the importance of coming and showing up every day, family-wide, not just student-wide, especially when you're looking at elementary school. So this is you know, we can talk about this all day, but it's certainly something we're talking about as an administrative team and how we can not only engage kids to come to school, but also educate their families about the importance of helping get their kid to school every day. It's not always easy though. It's not always easy. There's a lot of obstacles that get in the way that are going on in families today.
Okay, thank you. Brett, are you ready?
I'm ready. So we have had a great start to the year. This is my fourth kickoff to the middle school year, and this year has been, knock on wood, it's been probably the best for me. Kids are in a good spirit. Parents and communications open. Teachers have been receptive to what we've been doing. So it's been a great start to the year. Academically, we did our first couple rounds of iReady testing. I thought the testing environment was excellent. I thought the kids were more invested than usual. We made a concerted effort this year to communicate more with families. Some of you guys are parents that received all the emails. We talked with the kids a lot too about the impact of how iReady is used in various aspects of getting into the accelerated program, how it impacts your future scheduling at the high school, and how we apply intervention services using some of the information to inform our MTSS process. The kids have been, so far for the first couple rounds of testing, they have been very well tuned into what we're asking. They've been engaged. And just as a minor data point, usually when we test, you know, we have 200 kids, we will have a slew of kids that have flags, which means they rushed, and we'll have to have conversations. On our first round of ELA testing, we had one flag, which means, you know, that's phenomenal. And for our math testing, we had 4 flags, I believe. So that is just that alone. It shows to me that the kids are taking it. It's anecdotal, it's early, but it was a good positive sign, I think, at the middle school. So we're making a concerted effort to really stress that with the kids and let them know that, hey, this will have impacts down the road, and we do use it for some of our accelerated classes from 6th grade into 7th and 7th into 8th. And there are very similar processes our 8th graders take based on their achievement to apply for, what is it, AP English and History in 9th grade. So I'm putting that information out there a lot more to parents so that they're aware, and the kids, so they start to take a little bit of ownership at the middle school level a little earlier than we have in the past. So we have momentum, and we're moving in the right direction. So I was very happy with how iReady testing started off. As far as clubs, we just did a survey of all of our staff and our students for the 10 flex clubs that I have to offer. And this year, I'm proud to say that we have a very diverse group of clubs. So I just wanted to share some of the clubs. We have some of the traditional ones, like Peer Buddies, Art Club. Fishing Club was a hit last year. We're going to keep going with that one. We've also changed our service club. We've partnered with the Kiwanis Club. So we have a Kiwanis Club, which I'm excited about. This year, we also have a Lego Club. The AV and Tech Club is historically always there. We're going to have a speech and debate club this year, a fiddle club, a newspaper club. Then we have all of our standard stuff like yearbook, student governments, intramurals. So it's been an interesting group. We always start off with asking the teachers what they're willing to offer. And every year I get more and more surprised at what our staff are willing to offer. So I think that there's a few different clubs along with the standard ones we always do. So we put all that information out there. We had the kids vote on that. And then I sent for the next board to approve those 10 clubs that I have. The other one I want to add, which Terry will talk about a little later, we have What's Great in Manufacturing Club, which is a program that Terry presented to us, and I have a couple staff that are on board. I won't steal Terry's thunder, but he's going to talk about it a little later. I think it's a really, really cool opportunity. So I'm excited about that one. Some other things going on. If it doesn't rain tomorrow, we have our students painting Main Street windows as they always do. And Friday, we have community members coming in to talk to all of our grades about different volunteer opportunities. We have a phenomenal community that comes out for us. We have Wally Engel talking about volunteer firefighters. We have Tony Torres talking about the volunteer EMS and 911 involvement. Dawn Mead is going to come and talk. She's the director of community cares. And Meg Sharon is going to talk about animal rescue. So I think that our guidance department does a phenomenal job with that piece of our programming, and our community continues to come forward and come into the building and work with us. So that's always good to see. September 30th and October 1st, we have our annual NCBI training for 8th graders. That's the National Coalition on Building Institute. And it just talks about, we pick a group of kids and have them come and get trained on how we can be accepting and conflict resolution across the building. It's always a highlight for the 8th graders. We also have, I'm sure some of you were on the board, we had Sweethearts and Heroes here 4 years ago. We're going to have them come back to the middle school. One of the best programs in all my education I've seen. It's just absolutely awesome. They talk about resiliency and hope. And it's just a great story, and the presenters are phenomenal. They're all over social media and stuff, but if you have an opportunity and you're around on October 14th, I would encourage all of you, please come in and see them. It is worth taking a day off from work. We haven't built out the schedule yet, but usually there is a school-wide presentation. We start the day off, usually runs 8 to 9, 9:30ish, and then we do breakout small groups with various pockets of kids throughout the rest of the day. But if you guys are around, the presenters are phenomenal, and the kids absolutely love them. But we have to do it on a 4-year rotation because we got to get the kids out of the school. You don't want to repeat it. So it's going to be awesome. And then athletics are up and running. It's great to see so many sports outside. We had modified and JV boys soccer's up and running, modified and JV girls volleyball. I just came from a modified game. The girls were down, but I heard just through text message that they came back and won the game. So that's pretty cool. Golf is up and running. I'm surprised at how many of my kids play golf, but that's awesome. Modified cross country, JV girls soccer, and mod football. All of my kids are there. The kids have been really, really active. They want their stuff announced on the announcements. So we're trying to make a concerted effort to that. They're proud of their sports. So the year is off to a great start. I have no complaints. I'm very happy with the direction we're going. Kids are in a good mood. And if you want to know any of our numbers, I'll tell you that I just ran an attendance report this afternoon. We have 6 kids with 3 or more absences so far. So that's chronically absent by far. So that's 6 kids right now is 3 or more. But if you take the 10% data, we've been in school for 10 days, right? So if you miss 1 day, you're technically chronically absent. So you got to wait a little bit of time to get some extended data, but it seems like a better start to the year than in most years. So that's what I got for you guys.
I just want to say quick with a middle schooler, the communication with the iReady has really switched the way the kids think about it. Because in the past, it's like, oh, it doesn't matter. You just have to do this. But Lily and her friends took it serious. They took their time. And I think it's important, the communication, even with the attendance, when you bring them in to be part of the team, and this is our goal, good things happen. And the clubs, I'm really thrilled with. I saw that club list, and I want to go to some of them. It's pretty impressive. So thank you. Any other comments?
We don't have anyone from MAD, right?
Kristen's not here.
Yeah, okay. So it's unfair for me to ask questions because Kristen's not here. But I was just looking at the clubs, and as usual, our middle school clubs are maxed out, as they typically, but not always are, which is really just middle schoolers are super excited to be doing stuff. I know there's a number of challenges in that younger crowd to putting the clubs together. But I just want to draw attention to this. We got some participation there, but enrichment activities down in that demographic is a challenge we need to not forget.
Just one last thing I want to forget that Dawn made me think of. I want to give a shout out to Tracy Fuller and Patty Smith, who are AIS intervention teachers. We tried something different with open house this year. And for those of you that have been there, it's hectic and it's quick. But during lunch mods, we had a presentation on iReady from our 2 intervention specialists, just if any parent wanted all sorts of information to talk about it, dispel rumors. And it was one of the most highly attended things. So I thought that was a change that we're going to keep going there. But I think that may have helped with dispelling any rumors, or they had an opportunity to ask real-time questions to the intervention staff, and I thought that went really well. So I wanted to give that shout out. So thank you for reminding me, Dawn.
That's great. Okay. I think we're up to thank you guys very much. Superintendent's report.
Hey, good evening, everyone. So I just want to kind of repeat what Miles said. A big thank you to specifically those teachers involved, our science, art, and tech teachers at the high school for their flexibility, hard work, understanding, and we really, I just feel very bad for all of them because this was not the plan to not have their cabinets in so they could unpack. But they've been fantastic. So I just wanted to publicly thank them and tell them that we really appreciate them, and we're going to continue to work through this together. So there have been significant delays with the cabinets. Never in my wildest dreams did I think cabinets would be such a challenge to install, but they are. So they are getting installed. It's not like the work isn't happening, but the work is very slow. It's a much slower process than I think anyone anticipated. So to give you an update of where we're at, the tech room lab is finished. Those cabinets are all installed. The art rooms are basically finished. There are some enormous cabinets that won't fit through the doors that they have to put through the windows. Those are the last things that have to be installed in there. It's for large paper, so they're very big. The room 124, which is one of the biology rooms, those are mostly installed. There's a couple pieces left. Today, when I came over, the plumbers were actually putting the sinks in, so they had water. So that means they're very close to being finished. Room 125, which is the other biophysics rooms, there are no cabinets installed in that room yet. Room 126, which is our chemistry room, the cabinets are mostly installed. They're just finishing up a couple pieces. Hopefully it will be done today, hopefully. And then room 127, they were just starting. So the cycle that we have going, the number of people that are coming to put cabinets in varies day to day, depending on availability and depending on who comes to work. It could range anywhere between 2 to 6 people every day who are installing the cabinets. We're trying to get more people, but we're being told there are no other people to install them. So that's what's really bringing this down. What the plan that we have going forward is our cabinet people are coming in at noon. So they're working a day and a half every single day. So they're working the second shift and coming in at noon. So it's an extra 3 or 4 hours per day that they're working. And as I said, our teachers are being amazing, because what that means is a teacher every single day has to go to the library to teach their class or go to another space to teach their last couple periods in the day. So it is happening. It's just very slow. The way we are, we've made projections for many weeks. We've been told that we should have been done at the end of August. The way it's projected now with this 12 o'clock to 10 o'clock shift, we're hoping by next Friday, the cabinets will be finished. That's kind of what that timeline, as long as everyone shows up to work. The shop. So the tech room shop is really close to being finished. Board members, if we have time at the end of the night, I would be happy to kind of to show you where we're at. Currently, the floors are being sanded and stained. That's the hardwood floors. I took a peek in there today. It's amazing how nice they look once they're sanded. So those are coming together. The concrete floor, they're going to put what is it? Epoxy over it, kind of like you see in some garages. Remember, we originally were going to take the wood floor out and epoxy the whole floor, but because of the extra cost of that, we decided just to redo the floor and just do epoxy over the other pieces of it. So that leaves the, let's see, where was I at? So that leaves the bathroom. The bathroom currently is sheetrocked. All of the plumbing is ready to go. So the next step are the tile guys. They're going to be coming within this week. So they have to tile it. That's going to take several days to tile it. Then they're going to put the sinks and the toilets and all that good stuff in. So it's making progress, but that's the bathroom. So we are making progress. It is happening. And then at the end of that, we have the punch list, which we have a lot of things on the punch list, right? So all those other things that we see in between will be done after all of this piece is done. So this project will be going in, with the punch list items for quite some time. The construction company recently brought in a new coordinator to coordinate the project through Gallo Construction. So we now have a new coordinator. So we're working with a new person trying to get this project done. Any questions on the project?
Do we have the sign furnished for out front this season? Like, on the front of the facade?
So yes, the sign, I don't believe it came in yet, but there are some things that need to be fixed in that front. So I don't think we're going to put the sign up until those items are addressed. Yeah, because I would rather not take it down and put it back up because there are items that need to be addressed on
So
that.
still waiting on that.
Still waiting on that, yeah. But it might take a little bit longer until our items that we have brought to them are remedied. So today is the first day as we know, the teachers have a new contract, which is of course public knowledge. One of those items are a Tuesday. So every Tuesday, teachers are required to stay 30 minutes after dismissal to work with kids and to do kid-focused centered things, right? So today was the first day of that. So teachers are available 30 minutes after dismissal to work with children in all the schools. Due to not having enough drivers, the late buses can't come right at that 30 minutes. They have to come later because we only have drivers available when all the kids are brought home. We don't have drivers in between. All of our drivers are running runs at that time. So there's a supervision piece involved in that if a child is staying after. So what we decided to do at the elementary school, if a child stays after, we would have to make an arrangement with a family member to pick them up, unless the teacher is able to stay until the late bus is here, right? But contractually, we could only ask teachers to stay 30 minutes after dismissal on Tuesdays only. So that is happening, and that's arranged by the teacher. At the middle school, there's already an after-school study hall with supervision already established. So if a child is working with a student or if a teacher is working with a child on a Tuesday, the child will just go back to that study hall. And we're assessing to see if we need more supervision for that. And then at the high school, if a teacher's working and they're waiting for the late bus, they're going to go to the front foyer. Miles is monitoring that with all the other athletes waiting for the buses. So today was the first day of that. Now, if during this time a teacher doesn't have kids staying after, a teacher can use Tuesdays after school to call families, to meet with other teachers, to collaborate on kids, do child study teams, parent conferences, look at student data. It just has to be student focused. So today was the first day of that. So we're really going to make sure we're taking advantage of that extra Tuesday where teachers are staying after. So it's a really good thing. Our teachers have been great with it, and we're looking to really take advantage of that. Even though it's a half hour, we're really looking to take advantage of that time. Just wanted to give a little update for the enrollment study. On November 18th, mark your calendars. We're going to have our consultant come, and he's going to review the enrollment study that he has worked on. So November 18th, he'll come to the board meeting, and he will walk through that enrollment study with everyone at the board. So that's on the 18th. The other thing we're in the process of doing, we ordered our building condition survey. So our architects are getting that ready. We'll be meeting with our facilities team soon to talk about the enrollment study, to have the architects come so they can explain to the committee what to expect. But we ordered that, and it will be in process within the next couple weeks to months. Just wanted to talk about our football team. I have to say I've gone to several football games, and it's just remarkable to see the communities of Chatham and Ichabod coming together for that football. Not only seeing the communities come together, but the students coming together, the coaches coming together, the districts coming together. I went over to the game at Ichabod this past week, which our team won. And I had a great conversation with the superintendent over at Ichabod, and we're just so impressed how all of our communities came together. So, the timing was perfect on this. It really has worked out great. I think it's been a huge success for both districts. And I again want to just thank Ichabod for that partnership of making Chatham happen, or making football happen in both of our communities. It's been a really fun thing to watch. So thank you to all involved. I'm happy we went through that process last year, and I'm happy it's been successful. So Jaden Blair, our student rep who is on the committee, as you can see, she can't be here today. You know, one thing we all know about some high schoolers, they sign up for a lot. They're athletes in clubs, they're involved in many different things. So what we decided to do when she can't make it, she's going to have a substitute come. So we all met one of her substitutes today. But Jaden and I went to a training at Questar from State Ed. We had some great conversations about student leadership. We had great conversations about what it means to be a student rep on the board. And I can tell you she's very eager and excited to be part of the board, and we're excited to have her leadership on it. So I was really happy that this is the first year. Now, Chatham has had a student rep for years, I think over 10 years. This is the first year that it's mandated, as you know, through a policy. It's mandated by New York State that every school district needs a student rep. So it was a really nice thing for them to get all the students together. We went to Questar. There was probably about 10 students there, that were reps for other, and they took advantage of that time at Questar, and they did some student leadership training with all of our students. So that was really, really a success as well. And the last thing I wanted to talk about, Terry and I are going to the NISCUS conference, which NISCUS is the New York State Council of School Superintendents. This is some of the best professional development and training that I receive as a superintendent. Colleagues, superintendent colleagues and assistant superintendent colleagues of curriculum come from all over the state, come together in Saratoga, and we have a 3-day conference. Some great things that I get to do on this committee is I try to be part of a bunch of different committees through NISCUS. One is being that curriculum is near and dear to my heart. I'm on the curriculum committee for the NISCUS group, and Terry has joined me in that committee. So him and I are going to a briefing on early Monday morning with State Ed. This is where we get a lot of the information coming forward, especially right now, a lot of it's the graduation requirements. I'm sure we'll hear about the SEALs as well. So we're excited about that. A lot of great PD, a lot of great professional development from things happening around the state, learning from colleagues. So I know I'm very eager and excited to go to that as well. A couple other committees that I'm on. There's a lot of turnover in school superintendents in New York State. So, and as we all know, it's a really important job and also a very difficult job. But one thing that I joined a committee to try to help. It's called a superintendent support network. So I've been a superintendent not long, but 6 years. 6 years in the superintendent world is actually a long time. So I joined this network to help and support other superintendents around the state. So that's another committee that I joined. I'm on the superintendent wellness committee, because just like we have a wellness committee here too, superintendents need a little wellness as well. So I'm on that group as well. So it's a great opportunity. I'll come back at our next meeting and share all that I learned with all of you. That's all I have. Any questions?
Could you just talk to me about the timing on those Tuesdays in the elementary school? When is the late bus?
Do you know the times up by heart?
So for the middle school,
Yeah, go ahead.
25 is the late bus.
And what time? And the students leave at what time?
Dismissals at 2:15.
But the difficulty in the elementary school was that we didn't have aftercare
Yeah,
for that.
It's about a half hour in between. So there's a half hour time that we need supervision for.
It's really unfortunate. I hope we figure that out at some point in the year, because it's sort of an equity issue.
So what we're looking to do, because to have preschoolers and kindergartners without supervision, it's very hard to supervise those young kids for that amount of time. You have to have an activity for them. You can't just, we're in middle and high school, you can say, okay, here, let's do your homework. It doesn't work that way. So that's a real challenge for that. Now, teachers are going to work with the kids if a kid needs help, but we can't force a teacher to stay the whole time. So there's only that half hour piece that we can. So if a parent, as long as, and now what we talked about, and we want to see how utilized it is at the elementary school. This was really honed in on high school and middle school, right, for that extra help piece of it. But Kristen and I talked, if there is a student that they really want to stay after, we will do what we can do. And if it's a small group of kids, the office can supervise them for that half hour. But if it's a large group, it would be much harder to do that. And it's one of these things that's different every day, so it's really hard to plan for.
Well,
So we're going to assess to see how utilized it is at the elementary school with kids staying after. So
I
more
really-
to come.
I can't imagine with those constraints that it's going to be heavily utilized. So
Yeah.
that's why it's
It
unfortunate.
really depends upon how it's needed. The thing with the realism at elementary school, to keep a kid after, to stay after, to do more work, it's a long day. So it's not something that would be utilized often. So for a teacher to assign a child to stay 30 minutes after on top of their 7-hour day is probably not likely going to happen. Just because kids need to play, they need to get home. They can't do another half hour in elementary school unless it's a club, which that would be different, right? So it won't. I don't think that after school will be utilized as much in elementary school. I see it more being utilized for if a kid's absent, making up work, but not assigning it like after. So we'll see how it works. New thing.
Were the teachers in elementary school responsible for supervising the kids for that? Because if they get out at 2:15, it's like a half hour goes by of instruction, but then they've got another like half hour or something.
So
They're responsible
the
for
teacher's
supervising the
contract
kids?
time is right when the kids leave, they can leave.
Yeah.
So on Tuesdays, we added a half hour extra onto their time that they have to be there.
Right. But if the late bus doesn't come till 3:25, the elementary school teachers have to supervise those kids?
No.
No,
No,
Okay.
no, we can't. No, they only have to stay a half hour
no,
after.
the issue is we can't provide that service unless we get early transport and the buses aren't back. So we can't accommodate.
So we really need a bus 30 minutes after dismissal, which we don't have the drivers to do. So that's the hardship. Now, could a teacher stay later? Of course they can.
Yeah.
And some do.
But well, yeah, I mean, that was, I don't want anyone to infer that I'm asking the teachers to stay for an hour. That's not. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see how it's utilized. And, we don't see it being utilized as much in elementary school just due to the nature of their age. That's all I have.
Okay. Terry.
My academic update. So I have 3 things for you this evening. We had our first teacher leader meeting. We have monthly meetings. We had our first one last Wednesday, the 17th. It's a really impressive group of educators that I get to work with. We covered many topics, including a discussion on how teacher leaders can play a role in differentiating instruction. And this is something we're going to try to do each month, is have kind of a problem of practice and do table talks and share ideas. And that went really well. I think we had some really good discussion, good ideas come out of that. We broke into our book discussion groups. I know I mentioned this before, but we are, as a large group, reading 5 different books. And so we got into our 5 different mini groups and discussed the books that we're reading. And that went well too. And then we spent a lot of time talking about our SMART goals that we're working on. So each teacher leader and their team have developed a SMART goal that align to building and district goals and initiatives. And they're very, very good. And there's a lot of thoughtful discussions happening around that. On the 20th, and we have a district Monday meeting in the auditorium here, all of the teacher leaders are going to present their SMART goal to the whole district. So some ownership there. And then also just, one thing we talk a lot about with the teacher leaders is closing, even in a district this small, the high school, middle school, elementary school, trying to bring that together. And this might be a way, to work on that as well. So it's a great first meeting. I've said this before. I'm fortunate to work with this group of people, and I just thank them for all the work that they put in. So it was a good meeting, number 1. Brett talked about the iReady, and I will tell you, I don't want to speak for Kristen, but I can tell you that it went just as well at the elementary school. I think they had a really celebratory tone in the building. If you walk in, you see the balloons. Are you ready for iReady? And a lot of work went in, and that's all I want to say about it. Is over the summer, one of the projects that you all had approved was the embedding iReady, and that group of teachers did remarkable work. And I want to thank Brett, and I want to thank Kristen, and all the educators in both buildings, because you could feel a difference. You definitely could. And I went through, both buildings during the testing, and it was noticeably different. And those flags that Brett pointed out, the same was true at the elementary school. So it's nice to see when people put a lot of hard work in, to see those results. So just want to say thank you. And it was really, really good. And then I know on the 21st of October, I'll be providing an MTSS update. So I'll have more information for you then. So Brett had mentioned also this, one of the clubs, the What's So Cool About Manufacturing Club. So I knew he was going to share that with you, so I thought I would give you a little background on it. So what it is, it's a community career awareness program. It's project-based, real-world learning. And this experience is essentially a video competition, and I'll explain a little bit, for middle school student teams. So we are one of 20 districts in the capital region who are participating in this, and they're from all over the region. There are schools. It's offered by the Center of Economic Growth. And basically what it does is it allows the teams, each of the 20 teams, to pair with a manufacturer, and then they shoot a video on site at the manufacturer's place that basically profiles the organization. This is, I think, probably the neatest part of it. The program culminates with a video competition, and there's online voting. You can see like the reality TV aspects being put in, and there's even the biggest part of it is there's an Emmys like event at Proctor's Theater where all of the schools will be there, and it's a big awards ceremony. So it's pretty neat. The Center for Economic Growth is they purchase all of the video equipment and provide it to the schools. So they'll give GoPros and everything. There's no cost to the district for the kids to learn how to use and to use to film this video profile. And I think what stands out too is the program is rooted in meeting learning standards, New York State standards, like the college career readiness standards, social emotional learning standards with the groups and communicating, the ISTE standards, which is the technology and education, the national standards there. And what's really neat, I think, is that doing this locally, the Center for Economic Growth is pairing us with Sunoco Plastics. And I was on a Zoom with them, and they're really excited, and we're really excited. And so Andrew was very supportive. So it's really exciting. So I think, and Brett has a couple advisors for it. They're going to a meeting on the 30th at CEG to get trained, and really neat. And I think it'll, part of that, making connections with businesses, conversations with Jim Church, who I know we've talked about through Questar, and really trying to make those school business partnerships stronger and helping our kids to sometimes, the world has gotten so small, right? So global, but sometimes we don't see what's right in front of us. And this program, I think, will allow the kids to have a really neat experience, and then just to learn how to do all of that. I think, wow, this is such a cool opportunity. So thank Brett, and again, thanking Andrew.
Do you mind if I just jump in on that? I had the privilege with a couple other superintendents to meet with this organization last year, and we watched a couple of the videos. It was really impressive. We watched one video from Schenectady that Schenectady middle schoolers did at a company close to them, and it was really, really exciting. So I was really happy when we had some buy-in here in Chatham, and then we got into the program. And this is an example of meeting one of our goals that we had, talking about building those partnerships. This is a great example of us doing that in the middle school. And we're looking for more opportunities as we go to build partnerships like this with all of our kids and all the schools. So just wanted to point that goal out.
That's exciting. How many kids get to participate in that?
Brett, do you remember if there's a limit? Is it?
Recommended 5 to 12.
Yeah, I was gonna say it was around 10, but
Yeah. That's great.
yeah.
That's
it's really
exciting.
neat.
And will take the place of the whole school year, or once it gets
Yeah,
going?
so the competition, I believe it's set for spring, and I think they tentatively are thinking like late April. But they have a timeline of, I actually have it with me, of when they're working. Yeah, really neat. And so it is over the course
Amazing.
of the year, but most of the video work and stuff is done in January, February, editing, and then April is just kind of
Presenting.
April right now. But sometime in April, the big awards gala will happen.
Wow.
We could let you all know when that gala is. I'm sure Proctor, is it Proctor's?
Yeah.
Proctor's has a lot of space if you want
Yeah.
to come.
That's exciting. Thank you.
Any other questions or?
Okay, so we have a policy committee update. Oh, sorry, Mike. I have so many notes. They took over my page.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's your